Don't know if you answered this, but how much does one get paid as an idol? By the way, I have a cold right now, so that's why my voice is giving prepubescent boy. To answer your question, some make a fortune, some are in crippling debt. I can only speak for myself, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna speak for myself. So I did the girl math, and let me tell you that it's not looking too good. So I'm not gonna give you exact numbers because that's so embarrassing for me, but I'll give you a good idea of what was going on. So for reference, I thought that it'd be a good idea to compare it to my translating job that I had recently. All the numbers I'm giving are going to be in US dollars just for convenience reasons. So my translating job was a part-time job and I was making around $11 an hour. And I'm not gonna lie, that's actually really good for a part-time job in Korea considering that the minimum wage is around $7 to $8. So I worked there for 2 years, which is so convenient because I was an idol for 2 years. So I can make a pretty accurate comparison. So I'm not gonna tell you exactly how many hours I worked in a week with my translating job because then you could probably do the calculations, but just know that it was a part-time job and not a full-time job. So how much money did I make as an idol? During the course of the 2 years, I was paid once. And don't freak out yet because it's because of the enormous amount of debt I was in. And if we look at the amount of this one-time payment, my translating job made 1.3 times more than when I was an idol. So I actually never did this math until today, and I was really upset. So you might be thinking, Daisy, I think you got scammed. But I was only paid so little because I had a ginormous amount of debt. It was around $150K in debt. So I paid off that $150K and then got my one-time payment that was less than my translating job. Are you guys following? Because I know it's a lot. So anyways, with that money, I prepared for college. Some people work at their local fast food chain to pay for college. I worked at Inkigayo. We are the same. A big fat disclaimer before I go and do my lashes because some of us are not very bright. I don't know how much everyone makes. This is about me. Hopefully people are making more. All I'm saying is think twice before becoming an idol because you honestly might be better off flipping burgers at Wendy's. So that's all for today. Feel free to initiate more trauma dumping in the comments. I'm gonna go to an event now. One last time, this was my experience. I guarantee you that your faves are not in poverty, so don't worry. Bye. I'm curious about how much of an idol's on-camera personality is decided by the company. I chose to answer this question not because I think that companies decide how an idol's personality should be, but because I want to tell you a story that kind of has something to do with this. So one time we were all in a room and we were filling out these pieces of paper that had our self profiles on it, and they had like a bunch of questions, including Korea's favorite question, what is your ideal type? Now why they asked this so much, I don't know. I would also like to know, but anyways. So after filling them out and handing them in, the company read through all of them to decide what they were going to be mad about that day. And they decided to get mad at the answers for the ideal type. So apparently a lot of them had someone tall in the answers. And one of the employees said, oh, you can't write that because it's going to make the people who aren't tall feel bad. And I was sitting there thinking, you can say that about literally anything else. So the employee offered an alternative and they were like, oh, you should just say things like someone who's kind or someone who's funny. Huh? Like, are you shitting my dick right now? I promise you, I guarantee you that there are far more tall people out there than people who are genuinely kind and funny. Like, actually kind and funny, not people who just successfully convince themselves that they are. And I know it's really not that deep, but I was just so frustrated. And at the time I was thinking like, well, if you know what's best for us so well, why don't you just write the self-written profiles for us? Make it make sense. Yeah, so aside from things like that, or like telling us not to say certain phrases or like slang words or whatever, I wouldn't say that anyone's personality was decided by someone from the company or anything like that. And I know a lot of you comment like, oh my god, you're so different from when you were an idol, like your personality is so different. I beg to differ because I think at least in my opinion, I think that I am like relatively the same. I just pretended to be nicer and happier. Yeah, so that's all for today. I had to do my lashes in the washroom. Quick disclaimer, because I know that critical thinking is not everyone's strong suit. This is my personal experience, so it is different for everyone. I still need to do my hair, but I'm gonna go to an event now, so bye! How did the recording process work for you? I always wondered how a company would break the news to someone if they only had 5 seconds in a title track. Let me yap my heart away. I'm gonna move my disclaimer to the front because some of you guys don't make it to the end. I am just one person, so anything I say does not apply to everyone. So part distribution varies depending on who you're working with, obviously. Some producers will just sit everyone down before recording and ask them to sing the first verse of a song up until the chorus just to see what everyone sounds like in certain parts. And some producers will have you start in the booth, so everyone will sing half the song as if they were actually recording for real. And the last instance that I've experienced is when the producer already has worked with you before, so they kind of have a vision of what they want, so the parts are already kind of decided. And a lot of you guys asked how people would feel when like they had no parts in a song. To be honest, that was never a personal issue for me. And this might be a controversial opinion, don't shoot me. I'm a firm believer that part distribution is not that important. Like, sometimes a person will sound better in this kind of song and less in this kind of song, so they'll have more parts here and less parts here. And I don't think that's a bad thing, but I don't know, that's just me. Because if anything, I've heard from a person who didn't have a lot of parts that they don't really mind having no parts in a song because it's actually a less of a burden for them to sing live at a music show. Again, this does not mean everyone. But yeah, that was kind of funny. Another interesting thing I've seen is that when there's a part that's too embarrassing or silly or whatever the reason may be, I've seen people admitting to effing up the recording on purpose so that they would be considered not suitable for that part. As for the wildest thing that's happened, if there's a member who simply cannot execute their designated part, the producer will have another member to just go in the booth and do it for them. And the sound engineers somehow diffuse those two voices together, but it'll still be the original member's part. And you might ask, then why didn't they just give that part to the person who could actually do it? Because there is a very high chance that that was the only part of the original person. But what do I know? So one last time, nothing I say is a generalization. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Ask more questions if you'd like. Bye! Hey guys, get ready with me while I tell you a story from when I was a trainee. I know I don't usually talk about this kind of stuff here, but it's 2024 and it makes good content. And I thought this story in particular is like not that crazy, so I thought I would just start with this one just to test out the waters, because I'm scared. Quick disclaimer before I begin, please do not assume that this is about like a certain company or like certain people, because I've actually been like a trainee in several companies and some of them are not even public information that I've been in that company. Yeah, so it's pretty much common knowledge now that trainees have monthly evaluations. So in this one company that I was in, they had regular monthly evaluations all throughout the year, and then in December, like the year-end monthly evaluation, they did like a themed one. It was kind of giving like year-end award show vibes, and it was like less serious than the other monthly evaluations. And because it was like an award show, they gave out awards. And these awards were basically just, you know, like custom made trophies that you can just order online. And these awards were very unserious and lighthearted in spirit. The categories were the person who came out to the practice room the most, or the person who like improved the most. But today I'm gonna talk about the last category because I didn't think anything of it at the time, but I suddenly remembered this and I was like, oh, this is kind of weird. I don't know if some of you might have seen this coming, but the last category was literally called the Diet Award, given to the person who lost the most weight. And I get the company's intention of rewarding hard work. I think that's great, but I can't seem to put my finger on why this rubs me the wrong way. Not a single trainee in that room was an adult. We were all just middle schoolers and high schoolers. Even, I'm pretty sure there were like 11-year-olds. So nonetheless, the winner got their award, their little trophy. They said a little acceptance speech along the lines of, I'll try to lose more weight. Yay. At the time, I didn't think this was weird at all. If anything, I was like, oh, I want that too. And what's even sadder is that I was talking about this with a friend of mine who is currently an idol. They're fully Korean, if this helps add nuance to the story. As soon as I said that they gave an award called a diet award to the person who lost the most weight, their initial response, like the first thing they said was, but isn't it unfair to the people who are already skinny because they can't lose the same amount of weight? And I was just sitting there like, oh, I don't think that was the point of the story. So I just left it at that because, I don't know, I couldn't do anything. So I just hope that that company stopped giving out those awards. And I also want to talk about this because I just needed some confirmation that this was in fact kind of weird, because I have lost my sense of judgment in this kind of area. So feel free to share your opinion on this because I would like to know. Also, let me know if you want more of this content because I have a lot. Anyway, bye. I'm gonna have brunch now. Did you want to rap or sing? Honest question. First of all, thank you so much for asking this because I'm literally on my knees right now. I've been wanting to defend myself about this for forever. So get ready with me while I tell you the story of how I became a rapper and how it's all Nicki Minaj's fault. I have never once walked into an audition with a rap. Or not a single bar. I always went into auditions with like a little song and a little dance, and that's it. But when you're a trainee, that's another word for being unemployed. And when you're unemployed, you're very desperate. And desperate times come for desperate measures. So when you're a trainee, you want to stand out. You want to be different. Like any good person would do, I was scouring my brain for anything that I knew how to do, like a secret talent of mine. And that took me back all the way to the year of 2010, which just so happened to be the year of the worldwide cultural phenomenon of tweens all over the world memorizing Nicki Minaj's super bass word for word as if it was gonna be on the SATs. And I just so happened to be the president of the Korean branch. So I gave them a little, this one is to the boys of the boomer system. And these clueless 40-year-olds were absolutely blown away. And from that day on, I was a rapper. Shout out to me in the 6th grade. So at first I was kind of like, oh my god, what have I done to myself? Because I really wanted to like sing more. But then, you know, I learned to kind of accept it during my short-lived career. And this is why it's so funny for me whenever I get like a comment saying like, oh my god, I loved your, or like, you're such a good rapper or whatever. I'm like, I laugh at these comments so hard because what are you talking about? Did you listen to my part on mute? Like, I will admit, as horrible as it was a little silly. It was fun. So hope you enjoyed my tutorial on how to become a K-pop rapper. Although I don't think that this method would slide in today's climate. Yeah, so that's all. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you try this out and you also become a K-pop rapper.